Hey everybody, welcome to Live Coding with Jesse. I'm Jesse, and today we're going to work on an old project. And I already started working on it, and it ended up being a lot easier than I thought. So I've already finished what I said I was going to do for this video. But what I will do is I'll go through everything that I've done, and if there's a chance to refactor or improve it in any way, we'll do that. This would be kind of cool to revisit that first project that we did, just kind of go through the code. I know, some of you were involved in that first project, but a lot of you watching probably weren't. So some of this will be new to you, and I don't know, I always think it's kind of fun to go back and look at old projects, and this is a project we were working on at least 6 months ago, maybe probably more. So it'll be cool to see how far we've come. Hopefully I've improved since then. So it'll be fun, and that's cool. This would be kind of more laid back. My throat's just, after yesterday's stream, my voice sounded all messed up. So maybe it's better that this is laid back. I just want to start out too by showing you something I got today. So I work at a university, right? So I got a knock on the door, which is weird because nobody comes to my office. But it was a student who I don't know, and they had some stuff, and they were going to give me this card. So I got a thank you card, and I'm going to cover up the phone number here in case. But I got this thank you card from a student here. You kind of see it says Dear Jesse at the top, but I just kind of wanted to share. This is a student that I kind of mentored last year, and he wasn't a computer science major. He was a communications art major, but he was taking a web design course, and for his project he wanted to do like a really cool website. So I helped him out with, he had some parallax stuff going on that was really cool, and you all know that I'm partial to parallax. And then he also wanted to grab data using, I think he ended up using Ajax. I think he was using Ajax to grab some data from a Google Sheet. So he had all his data in a spreadsheet. So I kind of helped him out with that, and he'd come into my office and we'd sit down and talk about it and check out the code, and so it was cool. But I don't know, I just wanted to share it. So I'm gonna the card's just really small, so I just kind of want to share just as an example of, I guess, if you take the time to help someone out, it can make a big impact on their life. It might not be that big of a deal. It might not seem like that big of a deal, but it is. It's a big enough deal for the student to leave me a gift and a card, after everything. So it says, hey, I just wanted to write you a quick thank you for all your help this last semester. I honestly couldn't have done it without you. So thanks. I can see your live stream has been going good. I hope you're the next YouTube star. Thanks again, and please keep in touch. So that was cool. I don't know about the YouTube star thing, but I don't know. I just felt really cool about that. And yeah, I mean, it took some hours out of my day here and there, but I don't know, who knows. The last I heard, I haven't talked to him for a while. I just sent him a message, so we'll see if he responds. But the last I heard, he was developing Java. He's developing software in Java somewhere out near Washington, D.C. So, really cool. Anyway, hey everybody, I can see everyone in the live chat now. Rook has to go. He's gonna go help a nephew troubleshoot motherboard and graphics card problems. Oh, cool! Thanks for stopping by to say hi. Good luck with the motherboard issues. The graphics card issues. Sometimes those can be a pain. Let's see. Kyle, says, been watching replays of your live videos. Glad to watch you live. Awesome. I'm really glad that you could join live too. Don't be afraid to ask questions, make comments in the live chat. Sergio says, hey, I just want you to know that I like the Coding with Jesse series. Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that. Comments like that make me want to keep doing it. Let's see. Monir says, hey guys, check out my daily coding life on Instagram. It's ELHRIMOUNIR. Cool. I'll have to check it out. I'm gonna copy and paste that right now, and that way I won't forget. I'll check it out. Check it out later. Yeah, that's a good. Actually, I'm on Instagram as well, so I don't know, just some coding stuff from time to time. Sometimes I just post things from my life, like me with my kids or like food. But I do post a lot of coding stuff as well. So if you're on Instagram and you want to see some of that stuff, let me know. And if you're doing coding stuff on Instagram, I'd love to see it. So, you know, again, just let me know. I think I'm trying to follow like as many coders as I can on Instagram. It's kind of like Twitter has their thing, but Instagram seems to have this whole different community of coders that kind of it's like got a different vibe to it. So I think it's just kind of cool to see, I don't know, the differences. Like Twitter seems to be like all about like business, you know, like let's really talk about the code. Instagram seems to be more of a mix of here's what I'm doing with the code, but then here's kind of how my lifestyle, like here's how I handle work-life balance and health. And so I don't know, it's kind of cool to see that side of you know, my fellow coders. So anyway, sorry for the long intro that talk, but let me go. Sorry, I still have that cough. I'm gonna try my best. I have my G Fuel today, so G Fuel, if you're watching, hook me up. I'll give you shout outs in every video. Just hook me up with like 1 tub of pink lemonade flavor. I'll give you shout outs for a whole month. Alright, we did have a lot of pull requests. So after we do the code, when I go to answer questions at the end, the first part of it, I'm going to check the pull request. I'm going to check those out, and I'm going to give credit where it's due to those of you that submitted some pull requests. So I really appreciate that. Okay, cool. Monir, I did get your friend request on Instagram on my phone, so I will be following you as soon as I'm done. Thank you. Alright, so enough of my face. Let's go to some code. So this is our old project, and this is the page where I've done the most, and it looks like a lot, but most of it was copy and paste. So that's why it ended up being really easy, because when I first made the video and said I was going to work on this, it didn't occur to me that we already had a page that was doing everything that we wanted this new page to do. So I had to do a little bit of work in WordPress too. I'll go over what I've done there. And let's see, let's turn on the Pomodoro clock. Okay, so first things first, let me show you what I wanted on the screen. I think that's a lot easier to show it first and then go to the code. So here's what I wanted: a new page called Mentor Training. Well, when I say I wanted, I mean the people that I'm making the site for wanted. We want an intro section, which right now it's just some bacon ipsum. And then this table, if you remember this project, this table should look familiar. This is the nearby events table. We've just changed the name. Now, what I'm not sure about, I remember talking about this in a meeting months ago, but I wasn't sure if we came to like a conclusion for sure on what these fields should be. I vaguely remember basically saying, just let me know what fields you want and I'll do it. And I don't know if I ever got a list. So right now they have the same fields here, like the same headers. And this data, I'm pulling the nearby events data just to give us some sample data, because I don't have any real data for these mentor training sessions yet. But I did invite the person in charge of content to come edit the WordPress site and put in some data, so hopefully we'll get some of that soon. Obviously, I'm not going to go live with this until I get the data and can test it. If you remember, in this project, we have a test server on DigitalOcean, and then we have 2 live servers that we're load balancing between. We also have another server where WordPress is running, and that's where the data, we're getting all the data from. So you can see with this table, it works really well on mobile. One of the problems with tables is that often tables don't work. Actually, I changed this and now it goes over. So maybe I'll fix that. I'm not sure if we're even going to need that heading anyway. But normally you have a table and you try to go, it's fine on a large screen, but then you try to shrink it down and there's like all this table out here, and you have to scroll over, and that's not a good thing. You never want to have your users have to scroll horizontally on mobile. So that's why we went with this type of table. So I didn't come up with everything on this table. It's just a modified version of what Materialize CSS had. So in this project, we're not using Material UI like we did in later projects. In this project, we took Materialize CSS, which is not really intended for React, but we made it work. Eventually, I'd like to redo this so that we switch everything over to Material UI, because we have some jQuery going on. I'd rather not have jQuery in here, but for now, it's working, so I'm okay with it. And so with Materialize, the way the table works is by default is when you get a large screen, it looks like a normal table with your headers, your headings up at the top. And then when you go small to small screen, it changes. Well, that didn't exactly work for us. We still had a lot of headings, so just modify it slightly to always be in the mobile version. And we added in some things, like we added in some of these icons so you can move back and forth. Otherwise, like normally it was just scroll, but we kind of found it wasn't 100% obvious that you could scroll. We've also added in some sorting, so you can see we can sort by date. I believe we can sort by location as well, I think. Oh, you know what? It's not working because the location data wasn't put in. I'll show you where we need to enter it in. It was kind of tricky to get the right data for that. So it actually does, assuming you give it permission, which I have, it will get your location and use it to show you which one is closest and which ones are farther away. Alright, so let's look at the WordPress install right now. So basically, I made a page called Mentor Training Intro, which has the data for that, and we'll see where I pull that in. And I made a custom post site called Mentor Trainings. You see there's nothing there right now. Let me zoom in a bit and show you. So we have the date and we have displayed date. This is important because we want the date in a format that's easily readable by JavaScript. So that's why you have the date here. But then we also want the date displayed in a way that's easily readable by humans. So I have 2 different fields. Just a little bit more work, but it gives us a lot of freedom with how we want to display the date. And right now it's the month and the day, comma, year. Do you have a question about, will you upload the video to watch later? Yes, I will. I will definitely. So if you can't stick around, don't worry about it. I'll answer your questions and I'll upload the video, and you can just check in later if you need to. What else do we have? Okay, so we have location here, and this is just the location text that will show up to the user. So we're usually just doing like city and then state. Sometimes, I guess, if you wanted to, you could put an actual address here. And then down here is where you put in your actual location. So we have a map. Yeah, this is a Google map. Yeah, so we have a Google map. You can search for an address and put a pin in there, and then it will send the exact coordinates for that location. And then that's how we're comparing the coordinates that are given when we turn on the geolocation for the browser. We compare that to the coordinates that were given from that Google map for each event, and that's how we figure out which ones are closer and which ones are farther away. So if you want to know more about how we did that, you go back and check out some of the early streams. The titles are pretty descriptive on those, so you will find some about using geolocation with React. Okay, so now that we have all this, let's get to the code. So here's the actual component. And let me make some space here. Let me know if this font is too small for you all. So nothing really special here. We're bringing, if you're familiar with React, we're bringing in React. We're bringing in some components here, and we're pulling in data. So we did use Next.js to build this, so we have access to this getInitialProps function, where we can pull in data, and then that data is available to us on the server and the client, which is awesome and great for server-side rendering. Awesome. Hey, just got an email from the content manager for this website that we're working on right now. Let's see what she said. Alright, so nothing. She's just going to add some stuff later on, and also wants to have a rough timeline for all the other updates. So, I was hoping she'd be ready to put some data in, we could actually test it. Let's see. Alright, so we're in this getInitialProps function, and we're using the WordPress REST API, so no GraphQL. And we're sending basically this long string saying what we need to get. So we're using a plugin that lets us get multiple post types in one request. So we have multiple post type. The trade-off when you use this plugin is you can't specify a lot of like what you want. So we can either get multiple post types and then get everything, or we can do one post type and narrow it down and only get certain fields. So that was our trade-off. But we needed to get more than one post type, so that's what we ended up doing it like this. So right now I'm bringing in nearby events. Like I said, this will change, and we'll actually pull in the mentor training dates and locations, but right now we don't have that data. We're doing some filtering. We're going to order it by date and ascending, and we want some of these fields. But then on our second type with our page, so we can't get like different fields. So we can say what fields we want, but we're not gonna be able to do it for more than one post type. So for instance, with pages, we're getting all the pages. I can't specify one specific page. So down here, I need to, when I bring in that intro section, I'm going to do a filter. So we're going to do this props data. So the data we get is stored in props, and then we're going to filter the post by the slug, which is mentor training intro, that means it's going to pull that text in that we had here, right? It pulls that text in from WordPress and it displays it here. Also, there's supposed to be an image back here. I don't know what happened, but the image quit showing. It stopped showing up right before I started the stream, so I was in the middle of troubleshooting. So that's how we pull it in, and we have just a div, and we're setting the content. We're using dangerously set inner HTML because we want to preserve the HTML that's coming to us from WordPress. And then down here is where we have our our table, and we're also doing a map function over that data that we're pulling in, which right now is the nearby event data, and we're just mapping over that and adding our TRs and our TDs for each one of those. So that's not really the exciting part. That's kind of like basic React stuff. You just loop over things and add them. Here's where we're doing some of the different sorting things. So we actually, this is where the jQuery comes in. We have this hScroller function that's being called, and we use some jQuery coming from another file to do that, but we wait and call it on component did mount. So we don't have the document.ready function like we'd normally do. Instead, we call our jQuery from inside component did mount, and that way we know that the component and that the DOM elements that we want the jQuery to manipulate are actually loaded. So that was kind of a little workaround that we had to do. This is not ideal for React. So this is something that we had to do to get the site launched on time. We were converting it from a site that already basically was doing all this stuff, but it was using jQuery. So I'm not saying we should do it like this, but if you have to do something like this, that's how you make the jQuery work. Let me know if you actually want to see how we did this in jQuery. You know, go ahead and I can for sure show you. Just let me know in the live chat if you're interested. So for the date sorting, right, we need to get today's date, obviously. And one thing we're doing is we're not showing any dates that are before today. So we automatically don't display events that have already happened, right? Which makes sense. The whole point of the table is to find events for you to go to. You can't go to it if it already happened. So that's why we're grabbing today's date. And we're also getting the location. So we're using this navigator.geolocation.getCurrentPosition. And what will happen here is the user will be prompted to allow geolocation. If the user allows it, then we can get the location. If not, then the location sorting functionality will not work, which is okay. That's entirely up to the user if that's something they would like to do. And then we're calling compare location. So once we get the user's location, and we're saving all this into state. So our state, see, we have user latitude, user longitude. All right, we're going to store that there. And here's where we're doing some fun stuff. I remember when we made this, it was really cool when we got it working. So we have our data. We made a constant called new data, and it's just all the data that we have in state, in this state data. And we're mapping over each event. We've actually taking, let me check in here, hasn't property location map. Alright, so we're checking to make sure that that event has the location map property, right? So we don't want to try to do this if the event does not have a value for that. That would potentially give us errors, or at the very least it would have events show up as being really close or really far away, and it's not really true. It's just that there's no value there. I forget what actually happened if we didn't check, but that's why we need to check. So this is just kind of a long ternary. So think of like a ternary, like a shorthand for an if statement. So if we have this location map property, then, so after the question mark is, then we do this. So then we take the user latitude minus the latitude of that event plus the user longitude minus the longitude of the event. And what that gives us is a number, and the higher the number, let me double check. I believe it is the higher the number, the farther away the event is. The lower the number, the closer the event is. So it ended up being, I was a little bit worried about how are we going to judge these distances. I was thinking we'd have to make another API call to some other service to get that. But no, just very simple math. I mean, literally addition and subtraction got us through here. And that's why I ended up being really pleased with this, because I thought this is such a very, like, a simple solution to our problem. And then we have, let's see, if there is no location, then we do infinity. I forget why we had to do infinity, honestly. I'd have to go back and watch the stream. But this wasn't my idea. Somebody else put this in here to solve some problem. And then we're just returning the event clone, which was our constant up here. Now we can sort our, so if you've never used sort, it's really cool. So we're sorting each item, right? So A would be like the first item in this array, and then B would be the second item in this array. So remember, we have an array of objects. That's the format that our data is in. So if item 1, distance to event, wait, how are we doing? Sorry, this is not if. This is distance to event minus B distance to event. Basically what this does is compares all of them and then sorts them. So the ones that have the lowest value will come first, and then it'll go up. Alright. We got through that. Feel free to ask me to clarify this even more. And like, if you see something and you're not sure about it, like here it might be a little complicated, like check it out on MDN, Mozilla Developer Network. Just type in like javascript.sort. It'll be one of the first links. And then you could probably get some like more simple examples and a better explanation. I'm happy to answer your questions, but I know I'm not as good as MDN, so that's why I'm throwing that out there for you. All right, we're doing a similar thing with a date, right? So we're sorting by date. You can see the same thing. We have a sort. Where are we doing the date sort? Oh, here we are. So we have a sort here, and this date sort. Okay, so we're actually able to do ascending and descending with a date, and we store that in state. Why would we store that value in state? I feel like I'm a teacher now, sorry. Sorry. But we want to store it in state because every time state changes, it triggers a re-render in our component. So to go back here, if I didn't have this saved in state, I could click on date all day long and nothing would happen, right? It would be doing something in the click, but it would never trigger a re-render. So this isn't like I would put an on-click handler on there and it would do stuff. That's not how it works in React. I mean, potentially you could do it, but that's not really the React way. And so that's why we put that in state. And I've done that for a couple different projects. Some projects that I didn't stream I had to use this for, like for my Udacity Nano degree, some of those projects. Anytime you have to do any kind of sorting, I found it always helpful to put that sorting in state, or if you're using Redux, you can put it in there as well. But when you do that and you have a some sort of toggle or even a drop down where you have multiple things to sort by, it's that's the way you want to do it to trigger the re-render. All right, let's see the locations. Oh, okay, cool. So here we have our handle sort. We're passing in sort by. So if this syntax looks weird to you, it's called an arrow function. So just if you want to look up more about it, type in arrow function JavaScript. You'll see a ton of stuff. It's part of the ES6 syntax, or it's officially called ES 2015, but a lot of people say ES6. So handle sort. And then this is the parameter that we're passing in, and then here's our arrow function, because it looks like an arrow. So that's where you get the term arrow function from. And then anything in here is actually our function. So we have this sort by, and it's just a switch statement. So if we want to sort by date, then we have the name date passed in here. If we want to sort by location, we do that. The default is sort date. So if we have nothing in here, it defaults to sort date. And let's see. I don't remember why we needed 2 digits here. Something I needed to change to 2 digits, so that's why we made this function. But that's basically it. That's how we did this sortable responsive table. You can check out this code in GitHub. I haven't pushed this yet, but if you go to the events.js component, it has all the same stuff. I just copied it from there. So you can check it out right now in the repo. This project is called CI React. So CI-React. And you can go through that. Feel free to clone the project, mess around with it, use the code for your own project. It's totally cool to do that. And let's see. So that's about it. Like I said, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to commit this yet because I messed up. Oh, sorry. I messed up something, so we don't see the background image. So I don't really want to commit it with something messed up. So I think I changed the ID, and I think that's what messed it up. It's missing some CSS somewhere that it needed. So potentially I could just change the ID back. Maybe I'll try it right now. See if it works. Where are we at? Yeah, that was it. It's just the ID. So for now, actually I will commit this because cancel, because the ID, I'm not doing anything special with this page. I do want it to be identical to the events page in a sense. So let me commit this now, and that way you all can see everything. So I'll just walk you through the process here. I'm going to do a git status. Now this is on the branch called upgrade. I have not put any of this on master yet. So just be aware of that. It won't be there by default on master. You have to change the branch to upgrade. I'll show you all how to do that in a second. So I've added this, and I've changed some things in the title component, and I've changed some things in the styles. Now I just made a few adjustments. There's some things that I didn't like how it looked on the page, so that's what I did in here. Just very small adjustments on just like size of things and padding and margins. So let's go git add, and I'm going to put a period there, and that's going to add everything. So now if I do a git status, again, we can see in green here, these are all ready to be committed. So now we can do git, and when they're ready to be committed, that's called being staged. So this is like, these are all in the staged part of the process of git committing. So now we're going to commit, and I'm going to do a flag -m, which means we're going to do a commit message. And let's see, we want, let's see, add training page, add mentor training page. Looks good. Oh, what's going on? I messed up something. Event section is defined but never used. Oh, okay. Not a big deal. Let's check it out. So we have some linting that runs and some auto formatting that happens when we go to commit, and this is very useful because it caught this. Obviously, this isn't an error that would have caused our app to crash, but we still would rather not push that. So we're just going to go up to the top here and see this event section. I took that out because that was not needed for this particular page, but I forgot to take out the import. So if I go back in, I just press the up arrow key, it brings my message right back up, my last command. I can hit enter again, and we'll redo that. Hopefully we're good now. Yay, alright, awesome. So everything worked. It told me I need to upgrade, but other than that, everything worked. And now we're just going to do a git push origin upgrade, right? Because I want to push this to the upgrade branch. Upgrade. And there we go. Everything's there. Let's double check that, and I'll show you how to get to it. So let me make this a bit bigger and increase the font size. So I can get to it easily because it's one of my repositories here, but if we go to FUS FUS-Marcom is FUS-Marcom is the organization, and the project is CI-React. We go down here. Right now we're on the master branch, and you see there's not very many updates because we've been doing all the latest updates on the upgrade branch. So we just click that drop down, go to upgrade, and see now we have some updates that are a minute ago. Those are what we just did, right? So you can go into where we're at, pages, mentor training, and here you can see everything that we just went over. Okay. So I know a lot of you are really familiar with this, and you don't need the explanation, but we do have some people who are very new to coding, and some people that don't really know anything at all about coding that watch. So this kind of explanation, I think, is helpful. Hopefully, if some of you are new, you don't have to say you're new. If you're going to be embarrassed by admitting that you don't know anything about GitHub or something like that. I don't think you have to be embarrassed, but I totally understand if you don't want to say it. But hopefully that helps you all. I know it adds a little bit of time to the stream, but I want to be as beginner friendly as I possibly can. Alright, so at this point I need a drink. And at this point, since we're already on GitHub, I'd like to show you all some of the pull requests that were made, and thank everyone that submitted pull requests. And I'm just gonna kind of go over what's changed. And it looks like I have a message here about the side menu. Let's check it out. All right, cool. So Angel is working on that React Native app that we're making. So we're taking the resource center, which we already made in React, and we're just converting it to be able to work in React Native. So if you're not familiar with React Native, that means that we'll be able to run the Resource Center on Android and iOS as a native mobile application, which is going to be awesome. It's going to solve some browser issue problems that we've had. I did read an interesting article recently, and I forget where I saw it, so otherwise I'd let you know where it's at. But it was basically making the argument that if we really care about our users, we won't support older browsers because older browsers are not secure. So by supporting older browsers, we're enabling that behavior, and we're actually contributing to our users being at risk. Like if we handle sensitive data and we allow people on an old browser to actually make transactions on our site, let's say it's an e-commerce site, then we're allowing them to put their data at risk. They probably don't even realize it. So I think the title of the article was, by supporting older browsers, are we really like caring for, do we really care about our users or do we care about our business, right? So from a business perspective, you want everybody to be able to buy something no matter what browser they're on. But if we're really caring about the users, wouldn't we want to stop them from potentially leaking their data out from an old browser? So that's kind of changed the way I thought about things. I still like to support browsers to an extent, but I've kind of felt the same way in terms of supporting really old browsers. Is, are we really doing anybody a favor by supporting older browsers? So anyway, it reminded me of that because we've had issues with the Resource Center not working with older browsers, and I've tried to accommodate the older browsers, but I'm not sure that that's the right move. Anyway, if y'all want to weigh in on that, please do. I'm interested to see, you know, what you all think about that. So basically, from the perspective of how we can best care for our users, is it better to support older browsers or to not support older browsers? All right, cool. Let's go to our repo here, and most of the changes, the pull requests that were merged in were for this Franciscan React, but we did have some for this React Native, so we'll look at that as well. So I'm going to go into the pull requests and the ones that are closed and just check out the first few. So I don't think I ever gave credit to Angel for this one, but this was a while ago, last week. Fixed that center logo, centered the logo on the sidebar, which is awesome. Angel also updated Material UI to the latest version. So we were on version 26.26, and we're now on the latest version, which is 0.28. So that's awesome. Evidently, there were no breaking changes because everything still works. And let's see. We also have, let's look at these. Looking here at these ones. So make social icons larger and center them. Great. So for a while, I've been bothered by the social icons being like weirdly off center. So now the social icons are bigger. So thank you very much. And let's see. We also have the text for that donate button is now corrected. So now it says access FUS. So thank you for that as well. And then we do have a pull request. We had kind of a large pull request here. And this was from Angel as well. And you can see basically this added a lot of stuff, right? A header with the green background for all the views, drawer navigation. If you're not familiar with React Native navigation, it's not the same as you'd normally navigate in a regular React web app. So that's why we're talking about drawer navigation. Think of like being able to click links in a side drawer, right, on an app. That's the kind of navigation we're talking about, which, like, it's like you would expect from the name, I suppose. Also created the drawer, the side menu. added some views, added an about view, and added an icon to the header so we can actually click to open the drawer. So that's awesome. You can check out all the changes here. You can see quite a few, 8 files changed. Really nice. A lot of good stuff here. So if you want to know more about React Native and how we set this up initially, go back and check. I think we called this Project 6. So go back and check in the live stream playlist and find the one that's Project 6. I think it says React Native in the title, almost positive. I'll have to separate this out into its own playlist at some point. But right now we only have one video, so I'm not going to make a playlist with one video in it. So anyway, those are, hopefully I didn't miss anything, but those are the pull requests that we got, and they're really awesome. I'm really glad that we have some progress here on this React Native thing. I don't have any time right now to work on it, but I was always hoping that somebody would be interested in getting some practice and would want to work on this a bit. So really glad about that. Thank you. We also have an Electron app, if anybody's interested in Electron. So we're basically using React and Electron to make an app that could run on Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. Could run as a desktop app. So that's also another project out there. And it just depends. It depends on what you're interested in. So if it's something you're into, then please by all means go ahead. If ask me what needs done, or I can help walk you through things, just let me know. And Harshit says show contributors data. I wonder what's happened. All right, let me go to contributors. We have 3 contributors. Harshit, you're still number 1 on this. Still number 1. Cool. And I guess we can show contributors data for our Franciscan React as well. I haven't shown that for a while. I do like to show the contributors data to give you all credit. So, hey, I'm actually the top contributor on my own project this time. That's good. We got Harshit close behind. So I'll zoom in on everybody so y'all can see. Thank you, everyone who contributed. I really appreciate it. Okay, I'm going to go to the live chat now, and I'm going to answer as many questions as I can. If you had any questions about anything that we've worked on, it doesn't have to be a topic that we've covered already in the stream. It could be any of the repos we're working on, or just any question in general. I'll answer pretty much anything, as long as, I'll pretty much answer anything. It'll be really obvious if something's not an appropriate question, and I'll just skip that. But otherwise, I'm open. So I'm scrolling way back up to the top. Sorry, I had a missed call. I think it was spam though. Just wanted to check. All right. I just got a really surprising message from my wife. Wow. It's nothing bad with my marriage or anything like that. It's just somebody that we both know. Something crazy happened. Okay. Sorry I keep taking drinks. If you weren't here at the beginning, I have a sore throat, so I'm just trying to keep myself from coughing, and drinking helps. Let's see. All right, so Akram says, which JavaScript framework can I start learning? You could start learning any of them that you really want to. If you'd like to be able to follow along with these streams, I recommend learning React, because that's what we use mostly. If you're really new to JavaScript, I recommend learning a little bit more JavaScript before you get into a framework. You don't need to be a JavaScript expert, but sometimes it's really hard to understand a framework if you don't have a basic knowledge of JavaScript. So I'm not sure where you're at. I don't mean to imply that you don't know JavaScript, but I don't really know how much you know. So if you're solid in your JavaScript, like I said, I recommend React, but it depends on your goal. If you have a company that you really want to get into that uses Angular, go with that. Check out Vue. A lot of people like Vue. I mean, there are companies that use Ember. There's a lot of stuff out there. So, but I would say the top ones right now are Angular and React. By far, they're the top ones. Vue's getting a lot of more people using it, but it has momentum, but it's not up to the level of Angular and React. I mean, in terms of like total users and people doing things with it. Hopefully that answered your question. Let me know if you have any follow-ups to that. Dave says, thanks for the work you put into this. It has really helped me a lot. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for telling me. And let me know if there's anything I could do to make the streams better, or if you have any questions. And that's not just for Dave. That goes for anyone. If I'm doing something that you find really annoying, or you think that you have a good idea for something I could do, please let me know. I can't guarantee that I'll change things based on that, but I'll definitely take it into consideration. And because I know, I mean, sometimes my videos get thumbs down. I don't care if they get thumbs down. It doesn't really make me cry or anything. But what I really would like is give the thumbs down and then put something in the description that says, here's why I gave you the thumbs down. That way I can make things better. All right. That's why I was like, on Stack Overflow, you can downvote somebody's answer. If I get a downvote and nobody tells me why I get a downvote, I'm like, well, how am I supposed to give you a better answer next time? I have no idea why you downvoted it. I obviously thought it was a good answer. I wouldn't have posted it, right? So, anyway, the point is that I'm trying to make is that I welcome criticism and your ideas. I do want to make this stream better and more helpful to you all. Nisar says, Jesse, would you like to see your future full project with React Native compatible with Expo, just pure JavaScript? Future full project with React Native compatible with Expo, just pure JavaScript. I'm not exactly sure everything that's going on in that question, but if I'd like to see my future full project with React Native, that would be cool. That would actually be really cool. I don't think that that's something that my boss even has on his mind at all about doing. The university does currently have an app. I had nothing to do with the building of that app. We hired another company to do it. So I think right now he's worried about just trying to work within that app structure. He's not opposed to me having other apps, though. I've talked to him about, for instance, the Resource Center being a mobile app. So I for sure want this website to be a progressive web app. So I want people to be able to download the shortcut, on their phone, be able to use it offline to a certain extent. But if we can turn it into an app, I'm cool with that as well. Theboprio, yeah, Theboprio. I'm trying to remember how to spell that, or how to pronounce that. Sorry. Theboprio says, no one replies like you do. The way you help us with our personal projects and open a new tab for searching about our problems or us is really exceptional. Oh, thanks for saying that. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I don't have a lot of people following me. And I have the luxury of being able to do this from work. So a lot of the other YouTube people or, just people on Twitter or Instagram or whatever, sometimes they have a lot of followers. You know, I mean, I have maybe, I don't know, my Twitter is like almost 800 followers, right? There are people on there that have over 100,000, right? So I have a tiny fraction of what they have. So I'm not getting swamped in my DMs by people. So I definitely have the freedom. And the fact that I can do this at work as part of my work and get paid for it kind of frees me up a little bit as well. So having said that, I mean, I do really like to take the time to answer everybody. The way I see it is, I don't want to be the person that discourages somebody else and they don't go into coding. I'd rather be the person that I'll never know it, but maybe somebody was just on the brink of giving up and I say one encouraging thing and, you know, then they go forward, right? I'll probably never know about it, but that's really, at that point, I could either say something encouraging or I could, you know, say nothing or say something, you know, derogatory towards them, and then they quit. So I don't know. That's how I think when I do stuff like this and when I try to answer it. I'm not always the best. I know there have been people who've asked me to like review their portfolio, their resume, and I never really got back to them. If that has happened to you, please like send me a message and remind me, because sometimes things just get really, really busy with my work and my family and it just slips through. So I don't want to pretend like I'm perfect when it comes to answering, but I do try my best. And but, you know, give the other people a break as well, because I'm sure they have a lot more going on than I do. And especially, I don't want to go on too much of a tangent, but I would kind of like to mention this because I notice some of the female coders that I follow on Twitter and on Instagram, they mention sometimes that they get a lot of direct messages from people, and sometimes they get inappropriate things messaged to them, or, you know, so it's just hard. Like, I don't get that. You know, I've never experienced that as a male developer. When people watch my stuff, they always talk about my code for the most part. I mean, occasionally somebody makes a comment on whether I shave my beard or not, right? But as a female developer, a lot of the comments have to do with their appearance, and it's like people just ignore their coding abilities. So just be careful about that, and, you know, give them a break too if you're trying to ask them a question, in that, you know, they have to deal with a lot more than I have to deal with, and they've probably had some really bad experiences before, so there may be a lot more, you know, careful. So just be straightforward, and, you know, if you send them a direct message, don't just say, hey, what's up? Because they're probably going to ignore it, right? Because they probably get a million of those, and when they do answer, it ends up being somebody who's, you know, not very nice to them. So, you know, maybe say something like, hey, you look like you really know what you're doing in coding. I'm having this problem. You know, could you please answer my question? Right? You know, don't start out with, like, you know, the heart emojis and the heart eyes and saying, you're so beautiful, and you're a good coder. Like, now, I mean, I'm sure that's flattering sometimes, but, you know, if you get that 500 times a day, maybe it gets old. I don't know. If you all want to tell me how beautiful I am, you know, I'm open to that. That would be fun, but anyway, all right, that's my message for the day. Is basically, in general, be nice to everybody when you do comments, but especially, you know, just kind of be aware of what some other coders on social media and on YouTube have to deal with. Okay, let me get back to the live chat. Oh, Harshit said, I'm late. Did I miss something? Harshit, you probably were able to catch up. So let me know if you didn't, and I'll try to catch you up on things. But you didn't really miss that much, and you're super smart, so I'm sure you caught up. Harshit also says Materialize eliminated jQuery in version 1. I'll have to check that out, because when we use Materialize for this, they still were dependent on jQuery. But I'm actually really interested. If that's the case, that's really interesting. I'll have to check it out. I haven't looked at any of the updates for Materialize in a while, since we started using Material UI for most of our stuff. I'm sorry, I'm probably not going to pronounce this right. Ogusan says, what's the best IDE? I'm currently using, well, if you want to consider Visual Studio Code an IDE, which some people do, some people don't, but if you do want to consider an IDE, I really like Visual Studio Code. I've used Atom before, and I do like Atom as well. And, so I think there's a lot of IDEs out there that are really close in terms of, their functionality. But right now, I'm very happy with Visual Studio Code. Harshit says, so you switched to Outlook. How's it working? I really like it. Outlook is a huge improvement over what we did have before. So, for my personal stuff, I use Gmail. But for work, I use Outlook. And I love it. We were using Novell GroupWise before, which is really ancient and terrible. I'm sorry if you work at Novell GroupWise. I'm sure you do hard work and you're good at your job. But I'm sure you've also inherited a lot of legacy stuff, and it's hard to work with. So if you are working on that, keep working and do your best. But I just can't, in good conscience, recommend it to anybody. Their mobile capabilities were pretty much non-existent if you're trying to go through your browser. And yeah, it was just not fun to work with. So far, I really like Outlook. I really love the Outlook app as well. And I want to give a shout out to Marie Clemency, who works on the Outlook app. And I met her at November, so I'm sure she's not watching. But anyway, if anybody knows Marie or ever meets her, she's done a great job with the Outlook app. I'm really impressed. Tobe says, love the beard. Thanks. I had a poll on Instagram yesterday about whether or not I should shave my beard, and the overwhelming majority said I should keep it. So it's going to stay for a little while, which is good because it's really cold outside. But anyway, it says, you sound a bit cold. Make sure you take those D vitamins. I do need to take D vitamins. I get no sunlight. And I don't know what I have, a cold or something. I don't know. I'm trying my best to just ignore it and pretend like I'm not sick, but I'm so tired. Let's see. Harshit says that plus minus things is simple math kind of distance formula. What is this? Harshit says difference of coordinates. Harshit's typing in some math in here, and Harshit, you're better at math than me, because I'm not even following it at this point. The last math course I took was so long ago. Let's see. Harshit says, you have not calculated the whole distance. Oh, shoot. It skipped down to the bottom. Sorry, I gotta scroll back up. You have not calculated the whole distance, but that value works for comparison. For complete accuracy, I would have made the API called a Google Distance Matrix API. This gives distance by car, plane, bike, etc. Yeah. Like I said, I was thinking we'd have to go to an API, but then I realized that we don't really need precise distance. This is just in general. Also, the problem was as well is a lot of times the woman who's in charge of entering the data doesn't really even know the exact location of these events. She just knows the city. So having more precise data wouldn't even be that helpful. So anyway, That's good to point out though, Harshit. So when we went over how I did the comparison of locations to tell which was farther away, which was closer, that was just a very general way to do it, because for our use case that was sufficient. If you wanted like people to actually have, you know, a really precise location, you would want to use something like, you know, make an API to Google and get the more precise directions. Let's see. Coding and Caffeine says, I need coffee. And yeah, I could probably do with another cup of coffee. I had like a half a cup of coffee earlier, and it was what was left over from yesterday, and I just heated it up. Let's see. Gander7 said, oh, okay, so this is in response to when I was talking about browsers and whether or not it's a good idea to support older browsers, particularly when you're thinking of what's the best thing for the user, to support the browsers or not, and to try to encourage them to upgrade their browsers. So Gander7 says, agreed, we only support current browsers. It is possible to, let's see. All right, the next statement doesn't have to do with that, but yeah, I'm starting to think like that as well, that I should only support newer browsers, but have an easy way to explain to users that they need to upgrade, and then have links available for them to upgrade. Gander7 also says, is it possible to create an Electron app that is self-contained? Load URLs, load file, and handle React.js versus load a server, localhost. I've been trying but can't find a way. I'm not really sure. So I have never successfully made an Electron React app yet. We just got one started. So we basically have like a Hello World app running, and it works. But you know, that's not really like I made an app. So I don't really know. But if you want to follow along with our project, I can't tell you for sure when I'm going to have time to work on it. But maybe, you know, in the process of that, you know, we'll have to answer that question. John Hansen's here. Says, hi all, late, I was eating. Yeah, no problem. Harshit says, I'm busy nowadays, so I'm not able to contribute. Yeah, I totally understand. You told me school started and everything, so you've contributed so much, Harshit. I really appreciate it. So don't worry. I don't know if you're worrying about it. Hopefully not, because you don't need to worry at all. You've done so much, and I appreciate that. And everybody here in my department appreciates it. I told them at meetings how much work you have done, so they all know that you've done really good work. And I even told them, I said, Harshit's better than me. He does great work. Like, he's awesome. So you do what you have to do for school, and don't worry about this. John says, different screens. Hard to do on page X, page Y, or client X, client Y on different screens and devices. Okay, I'm not sure. That was directed to Harshit for something. Oh, cool. Harshit says, check out Ant Design. It's like Material Design, but they made it completely for React. All right, cool. It's ant.design. I'm going to type it in on my other screen here so I don't forget. All right, just scrolling through their website. Their website looks good, so that's a good sign right off the bat. Got a lot of stars on GitHub. Very cool. I'll check that out later. Thanks for the link, Harshit. Shravan says, how to differentiate between Admin and user in authentication. Please help me to get the knowledge. I'm using React. Alright, I'll definitely need some more info for that. But I'm happy to help if I can. Harshit responded, said, are you using JSON web tokens or cookies? Let's see. Okay, so Sravan is using JSON web tokens and Firebase. Alright, it looks like Harshit is offering some advice on that, so I'm going to defer to Harshit because I know he's more experienced with that kind of stuff. And Harshit's coming from back-end and moving into front-end stuff as well. So that's something that he's going to be way more familiar with. I'm coming from front-end and learning more about back-end and using it. Let's see. I lost my place here. Harshit said, do you know... Oh, sorry. John Hansen says, for some odd reason, learning Pug for HTML taught me a lot when it came to learning JavaScript. That's cool. That's cool. Back when Pug was called Jade, I did some stuff with it, but I have not used it for a really long time. At least a year or more. Harshit says, do you know it costs points to download in Stack Overflow? I didn't realize. I don't think I've ever downloaded anything in Stack Overflow. Usually if there's a terrible answer, it's already been downloaded so many times. It's like, why even bother? Gander7 says, you got one more on Twitter now. Awesome. Thanks. Thanks. Yeah. If you do follow me on Twitter, I do tweet about when I'm going to stream and what I'm going to stream about. So it might be helpful for you to decide whether or not you want to watch a stream on a particular day. And I also will retweet. Like if you tweet and say you're looking for a job or you need advice on something, and I see that, like I'll retweet it. So if you want to like tag me in the tweet, so I definitely see it, go ahead and do that. And I'm more than happy. Like I said, I don't have that many people following me, but I can get you some exposure. Maybe you can get some more retweets from other people that have a bigger following. So I can't really do much more than that, but I'll do what I can for you. Oh, Harshit completed the new WestBoss Grid course. That's awesome. That just came out like yesterday, right? Good job on that. He said it was very good. So that's really cool. So if you want to learn more about CSS Grid, check out the new course from WestBoss. It's cssgrid.io. It's completely free. So go ahead and check that out. I definitely want to check it out. I just have a lot going on right now, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but at some point I do want to check that out. Olsauce says, it's good to see real-life project working process. I'm still new in web development, so touching everything here and there. So just wanted to say thank you for your streams. It helps and motivates. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Comments like that help and motivate me. So I'm glad I'm glad you said that, and I'm glad that my stream is helping you out. Pollux says, where to learn best practices about React and JavaScript? Really, the React documentation is a good place to go. I'm trying to think with JavaScript, best practices. I mean, MDN, Mozilla Developer Network, is good if you want to learn about specific parts of JavaScript. Otherwise, I mean, maybe a book series like You Don't Know JS is free online. Eloquent JavaScript is a free book online, and you can buy the paper version of it as well. But those are good places to learn more about JavaScript. You could check out some JavaScript style guides from big companies like Airbnb has a very popular style guide for JavaScript. Standard.js has one. Those can help. I mean, in terms of like how should you properly format and do things. If anyone else has any suggestions on that, please put it in the live chat. Michael says, "Hey all, it's been a while." Hey Michael, how's it going? Thanks for joining. Let's see. Harsh is still trying to help Sravan with his authentication questions. And one of Harsh's responses was, "It's easy. I can show you how." Harsh makes everything look easy. Some of the things that you can do are probably easy to you, but not to me. So just remember that if Harsh tells you something's easy, it may not actually be easy. David says vitamins are a scam. Even if the vitamins are just a placebo effect for me, I'll take it at this point. I don't really care because I want to not be sick and have more energy. Oh, okay. Harshit says school hasn't started yet. It'll start on the 13th of February. Let's see. Okay, John says the Google Maps API has a way to put directions from the visitor's location. It's fairly simple to implement in a website. It's to put it in a React app is a bit more tricky. All right, that's really cool. Like I said, for this app, I don't think it's necessary, but that's good to know. It would actually be really cool to do that in some of the other stuff that I've been working on. Some like previous sites. I have a previous site that's not a React app where that could be really useful, I think. So when I have time at some point, maybe we'll add that in. Evo says hi. Hey Evo, how's it going? Thanks for joining. George asks if there's any Firebase projects coming in the future. I can't say for sure. I'd love to work with Firebase. I've learned a little bit about it and heard other people use it and heard them talk about it. So I'm really interested. But I'd have to find some way to work it into a project. And if I can, I'll work with it. But like I said, I can't guarantee anything. Let's see. Sorry, I don't know exactly how to pronounce this name. It's B-E-R-K-E. So Berka says, can you suggest a source to learn React for beginners? Check out the tutorial from the actual React website. That's a good place to start. Codecademy has a tutorial that would probably be good to go through. FreeCodeCamp, their new beta curriculum, has some React stuff in there. I haven't tried it yet, but usually the FreeCodeCamp stuff is pretty good. So those places I think are a good place to start. John says Jen Simmons has started a new YouTube channel called Layoutland. She knows CSS Grid like no one else. All right, really cool. I'll have to check that out. Thanks for that, John. Well, Harshit said she wrote it spec. Wow, that's I would say she knows it. She wrote the spec. That's really cool. Harshit said she even kind of corrected Westboss for making imperfect advice on the grid on Twitter. Wow. All right, maybe I'll have to check out that YouTube channel then. I like YouTube videos for code stuff because like when I'm eating, I usually just eat in my office at my desk and I watch a video, some type of coding tutorial or something. So I'm always looking for new videos and useful things. Evo says, doing pretty good. Signed my contract today, with which I can start working next Monday. Awesome. Awesome. Congratulations. I understand you'll probably be pretty busy, but if you could remember, let me know like how your first day goes, your first week or whatever. I'm really interested in that. So so don't forget about us when you're busy building cool things and making lots of money. All right. Well, I've gotten to the bottom of the live chat, and I think I'm going to wrap things up now. I can't believe I've been streaming for almost an hour and a half. Okay. Now's a great time to end. It's a Friday, so we're going to have the weekend. I'll be back most likely on Monday. There is a storm that's going to come through maybe sometime next week, so if it storms really bad and I can't make it into work, probably won't have a stream. So just be aware of that. There may be some days when I can't stream next week, just depending on what happens with the weather. Otherwise, I'm planning on streaming every day if I can. Let's see. One more comment. I'll read this out. Evo says, about the video watching and coding, one thing I noticed is that non-programmers find it weird that we really enjoy learning more about our expertise. Oh, that's interesting. That is true. Coders seem like we love what we're doing. Like, we watch stuff, we go home and think about code, we may have side projects. Like, yeah, I mean, I guess you don't see that in every profession. But that's cool. We're passionate about what we do. We really like it. I think it's a good thing. So long as you don't overdo it and, ignore your family or your health or anything like that. But anyway, that's a good observation, Evo. All right, so have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Thank you so much for watching and for all your help in the live chat. I will be back Monday. See ya.